Hey everyone, ready for some seriously thought-provoking stories?
Oh, I love a good story.
Today we're diving into Daniel, chapters 4 through 6.
Ooh, good stuff. Lots of good stuff in there.
Pride, warnings,
Uh,
even a den of lions. But seriously, isn't it fascinating how these ancient stories still speak to us today?
it really is.
I mean, they tackle this tension between human pride and divine power, which is so relevant even now.
Oh, absolutely. It's a timeless struggle.
So let's just jump right into chapter 4, okay?
Sounds good.
We're thrown right into the deep end with King Nebuchadnezzar. This guy's at the top, right? Ruler of Babylon.
Yeah.
And then bam.
Oh, boy.
He has this crazy dream about a towering tree being chopped down. I
Mhm.
mean, wouldn't you be freaked out?
Absolutely. Like, what does it all mean?
And that's where Daniel comes in.
Our favorite interpreter.
Right. He's not just some random captive. He's known for his wisdom, his ability to understand these dreams. And what's so interesting is he doesn't just tell Nebuchadnezzar what the dream means. He reveals this deeper significance.
Ooh, like what?
He says the tree represents Nebuchadnezzar himself,
Wow.
and that his pride, his unchecked pride, will lead to his downfall.
Oof. Talk about a wake-up call.
All right, like a divine wake-up call. But here's what gets me. God doesn't just leave Nebuchadnezzar in despair. There's this element of grace, woven into the judgment.
So what happens? Tell me more.
Okay, so Daniel makes it clear that God's not out to destroy Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay.
He wants to restore him. Gives him a chance to humble himself, to recognize that his power and glory ultimately come from God.
That's powerful.
And then there's that whole 7 years thing. Nebuchadnezzar loses his sanity, lives like an animal until he finally acknowledges God's sovereignty.
Ooh, that gives me chills. It makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, what does it mean to truly humble ourselves before God?
Right. And what are the ways pride might be blinding us, to the bigger picture?
Exactly. I mean, that's a powerful question to think about.
It is. And I think, Nebuchadnezzar's story is like this stark reminder,
About what?
that humility isn't weakness. It's the foundation for strength and wisdom, recognizing we're not the center of the universe
Wow.
and that there's a higher power at work.
It's such a powerful reminder. But what's even more amazing is what happens after those 7 years, right?
Okay, what happens?
He gets restored to his throne.
Wow.
And what he says after that, his pronouncements, incredible.
Real.
Completely transformed heart, this deep understanding of God's power and mercy.
It's amazing, like a whole new person.
It shows us that even when we mess up, when we fall, God is willing to forgive, to restore, to use our experiences for good.
It's not just a warning, is it?
Exactly. It's a testament to God's grace.
Beautiful.
So when we look back at Nebuchadnezzar, what does it say about God's sovereignty?
That's a great question.
Is it about control, or is there something deeper there?
I think Nebuchadnezzar's story shows God's sovereignty isn't just about power, it's about purpose. Even when we rebel, when we think we're in control, God's working behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Drawing us back to himself, shaping us, refining us.
It's like a reminder that even when things seem chaotic, God is still in control.
Totally.
And he has a plan.
He does.
Sometimes that plan involves humbling experiences.
Duh.
Yeah, challenges that force us to confront our pride and get our priorities straight.
Makes sense.
Which brings us to chapter 5 and Belshazzar,
Oh, boy.
Nebuchadnezzar's successor,
All right.
who seems to have totally missed the memo about humility.
Uh-oh.
This guy throws a lavish feast, right? They're
Yeah.
using sacred temple vessels, essentially mocking God.
No way.
It's like he's asking for trouble.
Seriously.
And right on cue, what happens?
Let me guess. Something dramatic.
This mysterious hand appears and starts writing on the wall. Talk about a party foul.
Whoa.
You can just feel the tension in the room.
I bet.
Yeah.
Everyone's freaking out.
Everyone's trying to figure out what it means.
So what does it mean?
And once again, who comes to the rescue?
Daniel.
Our hero, Daniel.
He always swoops in to save the day.
He deciphers the message.
What does it say?
Many tickle person.
I mean, a nickel parson? That's cryptic.
It's interesting, though, these words, they actually refer to units of weight.
Oh, wow. Really?
Like Belshazzar's kingdom, his whole life is being weighed and found wanting.
That's a powerful image.
It's not just about judgment. It's about being measured against this divine standard.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
And Daniel's interpretation, it just drives that point home. He tells Belshazzar straight up, your reign is over.
Your reign is over. Just like that.
Your kingdom will be divided.
No messing around?
No messing around, no suggestions, just straight up declaration.
That must have been terrifying.
And here's the chilling part. Babylon falls that very night.
You're kidding. The writing was literally on the wall.
It really makes you think, right? Are we surrounded by writing on the wall in our own lives?
Signs we're ignoring, maybe.
Exactly. Warnings we might be dismissing.
That's deep, man.
It's so easy to get caught up in our own lives that we miss the subtle ways God might be trying to get our attention.
It's true. Like, what kinds of signs?
Could be anything, right?
Yeah.
A nagging feeling that something's not right, a health issue that just won't go away, a relationship that's falling apart.
I see what you mean. Makes you stop and think.
So how do we become more attuned to these signs?
Good question. What do you think?
Is it about looking for some mystical message on the wall, or is it something more,
I think it's about being present. Like, really present in our lives, paying attention to what's happening around us.
Exactly. Internally and externally, it's about listening to that inner voice,
That intuition.
Yeah. That might be trying to guide us.
It's about being honest.
With ourselves.
Yeah, and with God. About those areas where we might be out of alignment, where our pride might be blinding us to the truth.
Absolutely, because ignoring the writing on the wall, it can have serious consequences.
Like Belshazzar.
Just like Belshazzar. So as we move on to chapter 6,
The lion's den.
the iconic story of Daniel in the lion's den, we see a total contrast to Belshazzar's arrogance.
How so?
Daniel's a beacon of unwavering faith, even in the face of incredible danger.
It's amazing how he stays so strong.
He's faced with this impossible choice. Obey the king's decree and stop praying to God, or stay faithful and face the consequences.
What a dilemma.
What's inspiring is he doesn't even hesitate.
His faith is that strong.
It's so deeply ingrained, he won't compromise it, even if it means risking his life.
Wow, that's true dedication.
The image of Daniel in that den, it's so powerful.
It really is. You can almost feel the fear.
It represents the challenges we all face.
Like those times when we feel completely surrounded.
Surrounded by lions, by those circumstances that threaten to overwhelm us.
It's a powerful metaphor. So what are the lions?
Could be anything, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Fear, doubt, illness, financial struggles, relationship problems.
Anything that makes you feel trapped.
Trapped, vulnerable, powerless. What's so incredible about this story is God doesn't just rescue Daniel from the lions.
No.
He shuts their mouths.
Whoa, that's crazy.
I know.
Miracle.
Total miracle. A display of divine protection, a reminder that even when things seem hopeless, God can intervene.
That's amazing. In ways we can't even imagine.
Exactly. It begs the question, what does it actually look like to have unwavering faith in those moments when you're surrounded by lions?
I mean, it can't be easy.
Right. Is it about pretending you're not afraid, or is there something deeper there?
It's a good question. Easy to talk about faith when things are good, right?
Totally. But when it hits the fan...
That's the real test.
What then?
Well, I think it's about acknowledging those difficult feelings. The fear, the doubt, the anxiety.
But not letting them control you.
Right. It's about holding on to that hope, that belief, that even in darkness, God's there.
And he's working things out.
For our good.
So it's not about denying those human emotions.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to trust God even when we don't understand what he's doing.
Exactly. Trusting the process, even when it's tough.
And I think Daniel's story shows us that kind of faith. It's not passive.
It's active. It's active.
What do you mean?
It's about continuing to pray.
Even when it feels pointless.
Even when it feels like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, it's about trusting God, even when you can't see the way forward.
Trusting that he can.
These three stories, Nebuchadnezzar's humbling, Belshazzar's feast, and Daniel in the lion's den, they're all so different.
They are, yeah.
But there's this common thread, isn't there?
Definitely. What do you think it is?
This tension between human pride and divine power. And they give us these glimpses into how God works in our lives.
Even when we make mistakes.
Even when we really mess things up.
It's reassuring, isn't it?
It is. They remind us that God is a God of both justice and mercy.
He holds us accountable, but he also forgives us. He holds us accountable, but he's always willing to forgive and restore us when we turn to him.
It's a beautiful balance.
And perhaps most importantly, they remind us that even in the midst of our struggles, our lion's dens, God is present.
He's there with us.
And he's able to do immeasurably more than we could ever ask or imagine.
Now, that's something to hold on to. It's amazing, these stories written so long ago, And they still resonate with us.
It really is. Like, they offer these timeless insights into human nature.
Totally.
Into God's nature.
And the struggles we face with faith.
Absolutely. And, as we've been talking about these stories, I keep coming back to this idea of purpose.
For a purpose.
Like each character, Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, Daniel,
Yeah.
they all played a specific role in God's plan.
Right.
Do you think these stories give us any clues about how to figure out our own purpose, our own role in this grand scheme of things?
That's a deep question.
It is.
But I think the answer is right there in the story.
Oh, yeah.
Think about Nebuchadnezzar. He starts off full of pride and arrogance.
Right.
But in the end, he becomes this instrument for God.
Proclaiming God's power.
His sovereignty.
It's like his experience, his transformation, it becomes a testimony.
A testimony to God's power to change hearts.
Even the most unlikely people.
Exactly. Like, nobody expected that from Nebuchadnezzar.
And then you have Belshazzar.
Oh, yeah, Belshazzar. What a mess.
His downfall, it's like this stark warning.
A warning about what?
About ignoring God's warnings. About misusing the blessings we're given.
Oh, I see.
His story is like a cautionary tale. It makes us examine our own lives, our priorities, making sure we're aligned with God's will.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And of course, there's Daniel.
Our hero.
His unwavering faith, that miraculous rescue, it's become a source of hope.
And inspiration.
Inspiration for generations. It's a powerful testament to trusting God.
Even when it seems impossible.
Even when we feel surrounded by those lions, it gives us the courage to stand strong.
In our beliefs.
To live out our faith, knowing that God is with us every step of the way.
It's interesting how these stories, they don't shy away from the hard stuff.
What do you mean?
The struggles.
Yeah.
Our doubts, fears. But they also point us to this hope.
A hope that's bigger than all that.
That's what I love about them.
They remind us that even in the middle of trials, even when we make mistakes, God's still working.
He's always working.
He's using our experiences to shape us.
To teach us.
Prepare us for something greater.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So, about your question on purpose.
Yeah.
I think these stories show that our purpose often comes from our experiences.
The good and the bad.
Exactly. It's through those challenges.
Wrestling with our doubts.
Embracing our strengths and weaknesses. That's how we figure out who we really are.
And how God's calling us to make a difference.
You got it.
It's realizing that our lives aren't just random events.
It's all connected.
They're part of this bigger story.
The divine tapestry.
Each thread woven together. And each of us has a unique thread to contribute.
We all have a story to tell.
A role to play in God's amazing design.
Love it. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Daniel, chapters 4 through 6.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
We've talked about pride, warnings, faith, deliverance.
And purpose.
Purpose. But the biggest takeaway, you are not alone.
You are not alone.
God is with you every step of the way.
Offering guidance, strengths.
And ultimately, a purpose that's way bigger than you can imagine.
So good. So good.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope it's given you something to think about.
Some fresh insights.
And maybe even a renewed sense of purpose in your own life.
That's what it's all about. It's about remembering those lessons,
Yeah.
from these ancient stories.
Yeah. As we go through our week, our lives.
Embrace those challenges.
Seek wisdom when things are uncertain.
And trust that even when we can't see the path,
God is working it all out.
He is. For good.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
We hope this has sparked some thoughts, some new insights, and maybe even a fresh sense of purpose for you.
That's what we hope for. Take care, everyone.
Until next time.